Good evening, good evening. Don't be too confused. What we have tonight here for you is the MRP LMP3s. I know you're used to hearing this lovely voice across on the V8 Supercars on Tuesday night, but tonight we're bringing you the awesome MRP LMP3 event. Here tonight is their third round of the championship at Phillip Island. I've got Corey back with me in the broadcasting lounge tonight, and we thought we'd just introduce one of our other racing series to you guys at home and get some feedback on how you think it is. And yeah, we might be able to bring you some more of this awesome action moving forward in the future. How are we doing there, Corey?
Yeah, pretty good, Doug. Pretty good. Yeah, just looking pretty forward to seeing some fairly quick cars getting around Phillip Island. And
Yes.
looking at the times, they're around the high 124s through to the sort of high 128s. 18 cars going to fight it out for a 50-minute race tonight.
Wow, that's mega as far as timing's going. We've got a couple of names back here tonight that we haven't heard around the traps for a wee while as well, and facing up against some of the guys who have started this season off with a pretty good hiss and a roar as far as their championship standings of going and the battles that we've seen so far from on track, but not here yet until tonight with our first live stream of this event.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's not too far before we're going to get the green light. I believe we're starting behind a safety car for a rolling start.
There we go. So, yeah, it is. It looks like a rolling start. The car's just over the back of the field, so what would be considered a short lap. And there's a bit of information there on screen at the moment of what the guys are putting up with tonight on this technical track that is Phillip Island, just in the south of Australia there, just a little bit south of Melbourne, I believe.
Yeah, probably the closest track to the land of the long white cloud.
Very much could be. Um, Bit of information around the LMP3 cars. Say they're a new one for us as far as what the drivers are sort of used to, and that's pretty much one of them there on screen. So a lot of aero on the car. They're very light. They fall just under 1,000 kgs, and I believe they've got just around the 450 horsepower marks. So pretty quick, and got a lot of aero on the car. But for that aero to work, you've got to be leaning on the car a lot more as well. That means it's usually glued to the ground whilst under acceleration, and any form off acceleration, it's ready to go flying off the track. Doesn't really enjoy trail braking too much. It'll very quickly rotate the rear end. So tonight's race is going to be a pretty challenging one for the drivers out there with the way the Phillip Island is laid out. A lot of on and off cambered corners, a lot of rises and dips. The weight of the car shifting around a lot. So I'm very interested to see how many people manage to successfully stay on track.
We will find out very, very soon. So 18 cars taken to the grid tonight.
It's a very good turnout of numbers indeed. Just coming around through the final corner. Safety cars coming in there. Should, should be getting a green flag any minute now. And they're away. Whoa, look at that. 4 wide there into the first corner.
Everyone getting through there reasonably clean. There's no argy-bargy in these things. Oh, there we go.
Oh yes, we had a couple of cars going off there. I can see Chris Zalewski and Dan Nolan's name involved in that one.
Yeah, there was 3 or 4 cars involved in that, Dougie.
And there's certainly a big gap in the middle there between some of those races.
With Cam Dance leading away from Stefan McCart and Craig Mason following them up in third. Graham Smith fourth so far. It's all looking pretty good for the guys up the front. As you said, there's a wee bit of a gap back sort of through the midfield there where a few cars have been held up.
Yeah, there is. So the tight pack of the field at the moment is pretty much down to about our top 10, and then there's a bit of a couple of second drop aways between each of the cars, and then a few cars just towards the back that are just starting to regather themselves and recompose what was a bit of an off-track moment, which we didn't get the pleasure of seeing just before, but we will be able to have a look back on that very soon.
We should see some sort of passing opportunities sort of coming around here into the Honda hairpin. It's you know, you get yourself up the inside and get a better run out into Siberia, and yeah, you're away.
It's quite interesting to see a couple of variations of driving line being used there at the moment as well. Cam Dance there opting for a very realistic racing line, and Stefan seeing what he can possibly do to sit inside those wing mirrors just slightly off the racing line, letting him know that he's still there and very close to the action. We'll have a quick look back to some of the stuff that happened at the race start. We've got a replay here of Leon Weir apparently going off the track. So that's him there in the SDI colours. So it's actually had a Misfits racing car turn around in front of him, and that's what's caused a wee bit of some issues there. A car now hoodless in the background, and another car getting just absolutely shoved out of the way. So makes sense why we heard a bit of interesting chat there momentarily. Here's Aaron Goodrick trying to get through here, avoided the crash, and only to be cleaned up by another car coming through into that a lot faster.
The magical pit crews there getting the cars back together straight after the incident so they can just carry on.
Yeah. So that was Dan Nolan, so he was locked up trying to avoid the car parked in the middle, and that's why he's come back onto the track and hit Aaron, who was trying to rejoin nicely. And away from the restart, but back towards our current laps, we've got one here of Steve Darren going off track as well. So just trailing that brake a little bit too long and not getting quite to where he wants to be, and that corner just continuing to fall away from him. Managing to not run out as far as what we'd see in the past. The new texture models on the grass and sand doing enough for him to be able to grip up to get back onto the track without losing too many spots.
It's amazing how well just that little bit of a fix from iRacing is made it a lot easier to pull it back, isn't it?
Correct, and also much more realistic to what it is feeling from race cars when you do have those moments where you have to avoid an incident and go off the track. You've got some other battles happening around here. Just back in 5th spot. This is Derek Lovegrove on the back of Craig Mason, who's got his eyes firmly fixed on Graham Smythe. And I've just had data of Leon going off track again, and not too far after that Scott McKenzie crash, so I'll have a quick gander at that. Leon down into the braking point. Misfits car well out of shape. I'd say that was Scott there.
Yeah, Scott just getting it onto the grass, and
It was,
unfortunately Leon sort of wore the brunt of it there.
And good evening to Scott Pickering. He's joined us in the live chat commentary through the broadcasting lounge this evening, and he's querying that the incident at the start was probably worthy of bringing out the safety car. It potentially could have been, but unfortunately we don't have live race control, and neither Corey or myself are admin for the race to be able to go and throw that yellow. So we'll let the boys play it out. As much as
right up behind Cam, as he's been for the last few laps, and their lap times are damn near identical to match as well.
They are, yeah. Looking at a 1:25.22 for Cam Dance over a 1:25.24 for Stefan there.
James McKenzie's made his way up 8 positions already for the race, so nice work, James.
Yeah, there's
up into 6th position.
Nice stuff. So there's James there. He's the son of Scott McKenzie, I believe, who is also here racing tonight. Scott's just down in 14th spot there at the moment, and James having a battle with fellow teammate Roger Forbert. So they come onto the front straight there. Great bit of racing and battling going on there. Oh, and James just losing it there momentarily. Thought he might have been getting a wee bit too close to Steve Darren in front of him as he was braking down into turn 1, and that's Marty Mitchell there. He's taking his opportunity to go and park up on the side of the track as well.
There was a good rejoin from James there too.
So
nothing like the video you shared today, Dougie.
Yes. Yeah, it was on our SuperCars NZ community page from some real-life GT3 racing. A car that was probably well and truly in last place. It had a bit of a moment. It was parked on the grass, got it restarted, moved himself back onto the racing track, and straight across onto the racing line. And of course, he did this right as the lead vehicle of the race was coming around that corner, and he had absolutely nowhere to go except amalgamating their two cars together in a great passion of love.
Yeah, it's definitely caused a bit of mess and probably a few $100,000 worth of damage.
Just a touch. I don't think there would have been too much of either of those cars left in a position to build them back up from that. As we just jump on with Craig here, who has Derek Lovegrove behind him. And if you wanted to know what the inside of one of these cars looked like, that's about as much as what I saw the other day last week when I jumped into the car for a race.
Yeah, and everything's moving pretty quickly in there too.
It does, and very quickly the wheel work can catch up to you, and you don't really have a great view out the front of where your apexes are, because you've got that massive pillar there, which is part of the door, and reinforcement covers that off. So a lot of that would be driving by feel and working out where those things are.
Got to keep the drivers safe. it looks like Stefan McCartan has got past Cameron Dance now as well.
So just bring up Cam Dance here. So Stefan was able to walk by him into P1. It'll be interesting now to see if Stefan um, is able to pull away. He's currently got a half-second lead over Cam at the moment. And why don't we have a jump back and have a look at how he managed to finally make that work. Just like that. So by all accounts, it looked like he had gone out wide and turned in very early up the back of turn 3 and used the downward slope to his advantage to get a good run on Cam, who was using the traditional wide out line outside. Managed to just get it down the inside, just managed to roll on by, and that's allowed him to sleek just in front. Very well done.
He looks to be opening up a little bit of a gap now too. Slight gap.
Just a little bit from time to time, so Cam back into the draft there as well, and bringing that time back down a little bit. We've got some data of Leon crashing, so we'll have a gander at that. Oh, again, so he just thought he was possibly going to... Oh!
It's getting out of the way.
That was certainly a rejoin and a half, and narrowly avoiding the front of Mark Price's car. I bet you he left something inside his undies after that.
Yeah, Leon's dropped down 5 positions from his starting position, so he's got a little bit of time to get some rhythm back and try and knock off a few spots. So is there a compulsory fuel stop or anything like that, Buck?
There isn't a compulsory pit stop, but the way that these things are fueled, that you will be forced to come into the pits to grab some gas anyway. So the drivers then can make their own decision around whether or not they want to take tyres or not, if they feel that it's worthwhile. Here's a quick view back on lap 8, Graham Smythe, who was in 3rd place, losing it just at the bottom of the hill there. That's allowed Craig Mason to now take 3rd spot.
Yeah, the cars seem to get a little bit unsettled there at Loogie Heights. And coming down the hill, a few cars have had a few problems getting around that corner.
That's Steve Darren. Was it? No, sorry, my apologies. Wasn't Steve Darren at all, it was Marty Mitchell having a bad moment once again. Matt Parker, Nova Sim Sports. It's a new name for me. I haven't heard that one before. Is he one from a few days gone by, or is he a new one to you too, Corey?
No, he's not a new one, but maybe Sir Trent Bennett might know. Seeing as though there's another Sir out there as well.
So Matt just having a wee touch there alongside Roger Forbert. Random just got touched wide. Roger going onto the grass, and Matt doing the honourable thing there by letting that redress. Back here in 12th spot we have Dan Nolan being followed pretty closely by Marty Mitchell, who's, for being off track a couple of times, is still up 2 spots from where he started. Dane Northirth out there. He's our race week sponsor this week with Dano Sim Support. So it was nice of him to come along tonight and join us. I don't think he's had a chance to drive this car too much.
Dano Sim Support, just that man, if I'm having a bad day, I can ring him up and he'll support me.
100%. Dano is very much 100% behind people's mental health, and if part of that mental health is because you're having sim-related issues, he'll be more than happy to talk through that and help you fix those as well. So he's a man of multi-talents. He certainly knows how to hold a conversation. I managed to even surprise him one day. Corey, you'll find this quite funny. People have often said that Dane's a bit of a chatterbox and can get sidetracked and talk and talk and talk and talk, and that's partly why they enjoy his enthusiasm as much as they do. I was having a conversation with Dane one time, and I think we'd been having a chat for a few hours, and he goes, "Oh, geez, Dougie, I thought people said that I talked a bit." He goes, "I don't really think I've spoken much to you on this entire phone call."
Yeah.
You wouldn't know anything about that though, would you, Corey?
I've heard stories, you know, that you can do a lot of talking.
I've often been told to shut up as well.
Oh, well, not by me, Doug. You keep that chat going because it's holding the stream together.
Yep, I've heard that from Wayne as well. Credit where I suppose it's due. I'll take it.
So the gap, he's opened up just over half a second now. So Cameron Darts. These two have walked away with it. They've got near on 8 seconds back to third to Craig Mason.
Have indeed, and look at the time differences there. Relatively low, 125 for Stefan, and to a slightly just above mid 125 for Craig in third. And now that he's got some clear air and focus, he's able to look at trying to chip away into that time margin. I think in these kind of circumstances, racing cleanly is going to be your best friend while you're sitting there in third on the podium. You could very easily give that away, or there'll be some drama towards the front between these two where they run off track, and it allows you to close that margin down or take the elusive P1 spot. So you can certainly, I've got multitudes of data, and I'm sure you've got it as well on your SDK gaming live timing sheet of people falling off the track left, right and centre.
Yeah, it's a busy scroll tonight, definitely.
So here's one of Roger Forbert there. Seen him go off before. That was actually a wee bit of an assist there from that one. Oh, that was one we saw before with Matt. This is Dan Nolan repeating his wee bit. Oh, that's a high speed one.
That's a new one.
And the sand trap doing its thing there by him actually having to drive out through it as opposed to trying to desperately hold on to the brake so you don't smash into the tyre bundle at the other end and end your weekend in one hit.
I reckon going through that sand would rip off a splitter in a few seconds.
Hundy. Here's Scott McKenzie, just at the bottom of the hill. Oh, just picking up the gas on the throttle. So the damage model for tonight for these cars is off. That's why you can see that they're the little R2-D2 repairmen have jumped out the back and welded that bumper back on again.
Yes, those mechanic theories doing a very good job tonight, and they've been very busy.
It must give people a bit of a sense of realisation just how challenging these cars are to drive when we're seeing the same names of drivers here scattered amongst our top V8 drivers and also our top GT3 drivers, and they're certainly struggling to keep this this machine on the black stuff tonight.
So our leaders come into the pits now. So how long behind do you think Cam Dance will be? Do you think he's going to be in this lap, or is he going to keep going?
It'd be an interesting one to consider because I'm just looking at it here. So we've only got two car, well, yeah, only a couple of cars that have come through for reference. Stefan, who was sitting there in first place, it was just under 20 seconds on his pit stop. It was 19.23 seconds. The next car that was sitting in pit lane was this one here, and that's now exceeding a minute. So I'm guessing he's jumped to the pit lane. The potential that he's had a crash and not been able to get his car unstuck, as it would be. The next slowest time was from Matt, who is now no longer in the race. So we've had a couple of people pull out, him including Graham Smythe there as well, who was running towards the front of the pack earlier on. So it's on the shoulders of this man here now. Still that 10-second gap margin back to P2, which is Craig Mason.
Yeah, not far off half race distance, Dougie. So yeah, you might find he might stay out there for a little bit longer and run that tank dry and get the right amount of fuel and try and have well, his pit stop will end up being a bit longer if he takes more fuel too, so we have to take that into account too.
Yep, that's certainly something to factor in. I'd say with this being I believe that's only they're a 40-minute race, aren't they?
50-minute race.
Okay, I thought it was a wee bit shorter than that. I mean, I can read 50 minutes there at the top, and I'm not doubting you.
No, I'd hope not.
So pretty much getting close towards the halfway mark. I'm almost wondering if the car will do half distance.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what the fuel capacity is in one of these.
Well, it is limited to 50% of its total amount, and I know last week when I was racing, had gone out with a full tank of gas, which was 50% capacity, and ran it through to near empty, and then it still had to take on another just over 30, I believe it was 35 litres of fuel to get through to the end, and that would have been close to just over halfway on a 40-minute race.
Yeah, it looks to be 50 litres, Doug.
Okay.
So there must be a 100-litre tank.
There we go. So pretty similar tank sizes to the GT3 cars as well. They sort of float around that about 102 to 104, depending on what the balance of power is set for them for particular races. I believe these cars would be a good complement to the GT3 field in the future, running a mixed class event.
Yeah, a bit of an IMSA sort of a field.
Yep.
Some people call it IMSA.
Yep. But that's him. Cam Dance P1 currently at the moment over Craig Mason here P2. There's a just under a 4-second gap currently back from Craig to Derek Lovegrove.
Cam's just wrapped out the fastest lap of the race in a 1:24.9.
There we go. great pace. So looking at that kind of numbers there, is certainly getting the fuel down lower. Stefan's previous lap to that was a 125.38, so it certainly might be working in dividends, and as we're now past the halfway mark, which will be 50 minutes plus one lap, so actually we're just a bit shy of what would be essentially time certain. I'd say Cam will be coming out with a near full tank of gas again. Here's our next person coming into pit lane towards the front of the field. It's Roger Forbert there.
Yeah, so the top 4 cars are still yet to pit. Stefan now made his way up into 5th, so he's the first of the cars that have taken a pit. Pitting out of first place, you'd be pretty happy with that.
Yes, it's Stefan may have decided to come in slightly earlier to get into a bit of a gap between the traffic. So Roger's now just closing in on the 22nd timer there, going past that 22, exceeding that to 25, taking on a bit more fuel. 30 seconds there now in the pits for Roger as he rolls out now, 31.47 second pit stop time. So that's certainly a dumping of gas. Cam once again putting out the fastest lap, now 124.88. Craig Mason rolling into the pit lane with Derek Lovegrove coming through just in behind him. So Craig being the runner from third place, I'm interested to see how long his pit stop rolls for. This has now gone to 15 seconds in the pits. And that was a nice quick one, so 20.27 seconds for Craig, so not too much far behind Stefan's time all up.
Yeah, Derek Lovegrove, he was 20 seconds as well. That's just coming out of pit lane behind Craig as well.
So just up ahead, Stefan back into third spot. And it's only these last two cars, these two cars plus one, who are yet to stop. Is Cam just coming in now? Steve Darren coming round the back up over the top. Looks like there's some smokes and dribbles going on just ahead of Steve there. Steve should be rolling in about now as well. Yep. Cam up to 10 seconds in the pits. Stefan having a battle round the back, just getting past another car. Cam's down at 18.17 of a second and rolling out of pit lane. He is at the end, and there is Stefan McCartan, who is closing on him rapidly. But that time margin there between Stefan and Cam, slowly getting chipped away at, but was at 9 seconds when they left the pit. Stefan with warm tyres and the pace on Cam coming down into the first couple of corners. It's now settling around the 6 second mark. So that's a heck of an improvement over what was only 600ths of a second gap between Stefan and Cam earlier, with Stefan being in first place.
Yeah, with Cam punching out those 124s there towards the end of his stint, really made the difference. Yeah, getting those fast laps with the low fuel weight in the car, and it's paid dividends for him because he's, as you said, got close to 6 second gap back to Stefan McCartan now.
It's quite crazy to reflect on that. Craig Mason is 10 seconds further afield behind Stefan. that'll actually give us our timing intervals there a bit better. So floating around that 10-11 seconds behind Stefan, who's slowly etching away at what was a 6-second gap to Cam Dance.
All the pit cycles have been done now too, and the field's settled out. Some of the movers, we've got Steve Darren, he's up 5 positions to be in 5th place. Aaron Goodrick behind him is also up 5. Marty Mitchell is up 5, and Mark Price is up 7 spots in the level.
Yeah, and whilst we've got some guys with big gains there, so Mark Price up 7 spots, just behind him, Scott McKenzie down 6 spots there. So it's certainly not the drive that he wanted this evening. And just outside of that, who's still in the race, Dan Nolan only down a couple. James McKenzie down 1 spot from where he started. Leon Weir only down 1 spot from where he started, and just ahead of him, Dane Northirth up 1. So Dane just chipping away at those lap times there. So you can see that margin between Leon and Dane is nearly a whopping 23 seconds between. That's crazy, actually. That's a fair gap back to those guys, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so a couple of them have been lapped a few times, but I guess a few trips to the pits hold you back a little bit.
Indeed. So yeah, the few cars at the back that have been got by. So Dan Nolan still on the lead lap.
Yeah, no safety car wave arounds today, boys.
No. So there's James McKenzie just going down through the bottom of there, just beside pit lane entry now, and Cam Dance, our lead car, just coming up over the top. So he's probably somewhere in the vicinity of about 15 seconds behind the next car in last place.
Yeah, with extending that lead, Cam Dance.
So Aaron Goodrick's on a mighty fine charge at the moment. He's managed to get down within the second gap to Steve Darren ahead of him. Have another bit of a look-see from inside the car, the slightly different angle. This is sitting from the roll cage there at the back. This will we'll let this one roll through for a lap. I'll turn the car volume up a wee bit. See what the lap of Phillip Island looks like. The struggles of MRP. go, and that is a lap from the inside of Aaron Goodrick's LMP3 car there. Now I'm not too sure what's happening over here, but I've got data on Leon Ware entering the pit lane multitudes of times over and over and over again. So I'm interested to see what exactly he did. Aha, that's why I have a gajillion bits of information saying I have entered the pit lane.
It almost needed that Austin Powers music to it then, didn't it?
Did. So whilst all of that was going on, we're having a look at that before as well. Craig Mason came up with some crash data, but he has been able to retain that P3 spot.
Park.
So car out of position there, going by him briefly. But yeah, he's done well to grab the brake on that one and bring himself back onto the track and back into the groove. So he's still there in third spot at the moment, and his closest competition behind him is Derek Lovegrove, but that's still a 3.67 gap back to fourth spot.
So Steve's moved away from Aaron just a tad at the moment. So
Yep.
he's looking pretty good in first spot at the moment, Steve.
Yes, indeed, and that's a very good drive for both those guys still there as well, up 5 spots each respectively. Cam Dance been able to re-stabilise that gap before that Stefan chipped away into slowly and got it just under the 6 second mark, and it's now back out to just over 7 seconds there.
Yeah, it just shows a little bit of strategy in the game, doesn't it? You know, just that perfect pit stop makes the difference.
Sure does. I'm going to quickly bring Leon upstairs. Hey, Leon.
Hello.
Hey, mate. Hey, I hope you're not feeling too upset, but did want to sort of just get a bit of a vibe from you on what's happening with tonight's racing. We see you had a bit of quite an unfortunate moment coming there into pit lane, and you did a bit of an Austin Powers routine.
It was good value on it. It was good.
Yeah, we've also noticed it, and it's certainly not just yourself, but cars really struggling to keep it between the white lines.
Oh man, it's something else. Like it's a relatively hot track, but like they have a tendency to, you know, oversteer under braking and then understeer on acceleration. So it's like you've sort of really got to get it in the sweet spot and keep it in the sweet spot, which something that I'm just not gelling with the setup at all tonight. And
Yep.
I went to go serve a drive-through and pulled into my pit box. So of course
Yes.
that wasn't counted as my drive-through. So then I had to come around again, and it was just a time. It was just a time. But all good fun. I had my fun, and that's me parking the car up tonight, I think. But like it was good. I think the track's pretty cool to be at, but certainly a lot different to a V8 supercar, and without a lot of experience in this car, it's sort of adjusting your driving style overnight.
Yes.
It's sort of one of the things about the GT3s. It's like adjusting to a whole another platform, a completely different way of driving between our days, and trying to concentrate on the V8s was proving a bit tricky. So
yeah,
but I'll stick at it. This car's fun to drive, and usually, so yeah, I'm not too dissuaded anyway.
No, it's good, mate. Well, that's good to hear. And yeah, I've been trying to give them sort of my best recount of last week's race from my first time out there driving the car, and it's certainly a different animal compared to anything else. Obviously, I don't drive the V8s, and for good reason, because I tend to do monstrous reverse doughies in them.
Yeah, and hey, that's cool too, man. We don't judge you for that.
That's nice, mate. That's probably the best comment I've actually had from it. Not like those other unsupportive guys from Thursday night.
Mate, they'll just say, get out. What are you doing here, mate?
Exactly.
They're the ones that leave a mess. They leave a mess in here and has to get cleaned up on Tuesday. But
is that all
right.
bottles from Sean?
Had to clean it all up on Sunday.
A lot of Waikato drafts flying through the broadcasting lounge. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, they don't fill the fridge.
No. Oh, you know what? I would love to say I'm surprised.
It'd be nice to say that Sean leaves them set out like a trail of crumbs, but it sort of looks more like a grizzly bear has just roly-polied his way through it.
Yeah.
It's just grunted and groaned and spilt beer all over the seats.
That's up.
Look, I can understand. I get myself in the same sort of state sometimes. Especially that night I come and join you guys in the broadcasting lounge for GT3s. Sorry, it wasn't you. It was Sean and Wayne. I got pretty happy that night. That was quite cool. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's certainly I think it's certainly becoming one of those things. The more times we now spend with each other in the lounge, that it seems to be that it's worthwhile opening a wee bottle and putting a wee bit in it into a glass and enjoying some fun times together as we close up towards the end of another year.
A couple of lemonade shandies with your internet friends, eh?
I'll just stick to raspberry and Coke. So.
Fair enough. I graduated to shandies a couple of weeks ago. From that really what was that horrific Christoph vodka? Gone to shandies now.
You should have you ever had a turbo shandy?
Oh goodness, that sounds like
gold and Smirnoff Ice Black 50/50.
Crikey, that's something.
That's great.
Well, seeing we're seeing the three of us are Christchurch lads, that sounds like something we should be getting together to do.
Indeed, yeah. If all these guys can have their little party up at Sean's house, and we have to have our little party too, it's only fair, isn't it?
That's up.
I throw a party every year in November.
Yes.
Well, that's no good to me because I'm in Thailand for most of November.
That is unfortunate.
That is very unfortunate.
Are you going in to get your surgery done?
Yeah, the extension. Yep.
The extension in the chest.
On the nose.
Yeah. Let's just leave it at that, shall we?
sounds like that conversation is on the nose.
Yeah. It probably is, but these are behind closed doors sort of conversations, though. I'd hate for all the viewers out there, all three of them, to get involved in something they're not ready for.
Are you taking the family with you, or is this a trip to find some ladyboys and have a good time?
Well, I'm actually getting married, so a bit of both.
It's the honeymoon, or you're going to Thailand to get married?
No, me and Laura are going to Thailand to get married, and no kids. They're staying here with a lovely friend of ours, and it's gonna be bloody good. And then on the way back, going to my brother's wedding. And he's in Melbourne. That should be a bit of fun. Hired a WRX in Melbourne to hop around in for a few days, so that should be a nice week.
So you're planning on just using public transporting after the first day?
Yeah. When it eventually blows up, I'll be.
We'll help you put down Subarus, thank you.
No, I had a Subaru for a number of years, and
for a number of days.
No, for a number of years, and it was surprisingly quite reliable.
So you're telling me you didn't run a bearing or have leaky rock cover gaskets? Is that what you're telling me?
I can honestly tell you, I had not a whisper of a problem with my limited edition B4 Legacy wagon.
Oh, look out.
With its metallic black paint job with gold fleck behind it.
Did it go, psh?
It made all the st-ts.
All the st-ts.
She was grand, great car.
That is very important.
It's probably more like a buddy. Burp.
Can't argue that.
I couldn't have said it better myself, mate. I couldn't
There's
have
some
said it better.
racing going on. We've got a car going around.
Yes,
don't worry about them.
That was Daniel Nolan down in 12th spot, getting out of the way of this pretty fierce battle happening between Aaron Goodrick and Steve Darren, which we've been sitting on here for the last few minutes as Steve takes
Still
another
going at
dive
it, are
down
they?
the inside. Oh yeah, it's
Hey,
been good.
we've been talking to you, and all I've wanted to say was these two are having an awesome battle. It's gone on for a couple of laps at
It
least.
has been changing of positions and very good.
I know Aaron has certainly in the chat there. He's been hunting, that's for sure. He's been trying to get on Steve, but he just can't find a way through. They have a couple of mistakes each, and then
Yep. Well, they've just changed position again. Aaron was just ahead of him a moment ago, and Steve's managed to find it back. But now Steve's run it pretty deep down there at the bottom of the hill, and
brought it together.
Aaron looks like he might be able to get back into the draft. So we're at the just coming up onto 47th minute of racing, and I can confirm Cam Dance still leads by 5.8 seconds over Stephen McCartan.
Very good.
And then that gap back from Stefan to Craig, who's been having a couple of wee whoopsies off the track, is a whopping 40 seconds from second place to third.
Crikey.
There's
Now,
some big
now,
numbers
now,
popping up
now
down
at
that
40,
timing
41. Yes. So that's that margin from second to third, and then Steve Darren in fourth spot, 6 seconds behind Craig. Aaron now just over a touch of 1 second behind Steve there in fifth spot. Derek Lovegrove a full 3.5 seconds behind him. Roger Forbert another couple of seconds behind him. Dane in 8th spot is 14 seconds behind P7. Scott McKenzie is 43 seconds behind P8. So this is inside the top 10. And then Mark Price is 8 seconds off that margin there. So those lead guys have certainly gone out and about and around those guys a couple of times. Great bit of racing.
Yeah, for sure.
Great racing.
So I'm guessing that the timing margin, Leon, is, if I'm correct, it's hits 50 minutes and then adds a lap.
Basically, yeah, depending on where the leader is and when they cross the line.
Yep. So they're there or abouts.
Yep. We should be right in our final stages now, dude.
Awesome stuff, yes. Just coming up to the 49-minute mark, I reckon we're still going to see another 2 laps. Could be proven wrong.
One at least.
Yeah. If you're a gambling man. So
white flag has just come out, my friend.
There we go.
So
old starter man's waving it profusely for everybody as they go past.
He's going to spend it a long time waving. He'll end up waving the checkered flag and the white flag at the same time at this rate.
He's got to get a sore wrist, surely.
Yeah.
Or is it all in the arm?
I believe it's a rotation of the shoulder through to the elbow, and then the wrist just follows.
Yeah. That just
you could call it some vigorous stick action.
There we go. That actually sounds about right. Vigorous stick action.
Yes.
Jot that one down.
There you go, Leon. Another one for the t-shirt.
What was the Kumara one you said last night? That had me in tears.
What, about being that Kumara's cocked?
Yeah. It was the context that it was said in. It was brilliant.
Silly. Oh yes. No, I mean I'm not paid to come up with these one-liners. They slip out of me, and it's all opportunistic.
It's really hard to keep
for
them
the
contained,
event at
isn't
hand.
It's all looking pretty good for Cam Dance and his return to SuperCars NZ.
Yeah.
Taking out a victory is just under 2-second gap back to Stefan McCartan in the end. So a few more laps in that, I reckon Stefan may have got a little bit closer.
Well, the funny thing is, like, these guys could pretty much get out of their cars, give each other a high five and a handshake, get back in, strapped up, an engine turned back on, and would still be here checking back, waiting for what's third spot, Craig Mason, who we all know was ridiculously fast as well, to come across the start-finish line. So as he comes around the final corner now, past pit lane entry, where Leon couldn't find which way was north or south bearings.
I got there in the end.
Do 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 do.
We just
Yeah, so
need
there's
the
one other person that has done something similar to that, and I believe it was videoed and the music put to it, and it was Mike Robinson, and it was at Canadian Tire Motorsport.
And it was also performed by the one and only Shane White in the what was the Ford, about his one and only time driving the Ford GT in the GT3 class. No, was it the Ford GT3? Yes, it was, and he looped it at Bathurst, just coming up through, I believe it was the cutting. And there's a wee driveway off to the side, and Shane decided to ignore that and use the most narrowest part of the track to spend a whopping 30 seconds trying to turn his car around. And enough time for us to spot it in the background, watch the replay of it, bring him up into the broadcasting lounge, and then he finally got underway back racing again. So that's how that's done. So.
Wicked effort, mate. Thanks for making me feel better, buddy. I appreciate it.
There we go. I'll let you jump back down with those other hooligans downstairs, and we'll sign off on this one here.
Sounds good. Thank you very
Awesome.
much. Hope you boys enjoyed yourself.
Thanks,
We
Leon.
have.
That's the spirit. See you, boys.
See you, mate.
See you, mate.
There we go. So, yeah, it certainly wasn't Leon's night tonight. Had started the race there in P6, I believe, was where he started, and not there. Finished the race down in spot 15 after parking up for the last few laps. But we did have Cam Dance take out the win tonight over Stephen McCartan. Then Craig Mason, third place over Steve Darren in fourth. Aaron Goodrick, great battle happening between those guys. Roger Forbert took out our sixth spot tonight, with Derek Lovegrove, Dane Northdirth, Scott McKenzie, and Mark Price rounding out the last few spots there into our top 10. And Mark probably doing the drive of the night there, looking at the stats, coming from P18 on track to finishing in 10th, so up 8 spots for him. Well done, Pricey. And then just a few others just not having a very good time. But as we heard from Leon, obviously not the best track conditions out there, pretty hot, pretty greasy, and just a challenging car to get to terms with. So an interesting one at that. If you think that you've got it in you to go and pedal one of these cars around the track and do better than what you've seen some of these other guys do tonight, load yourself up with an iRacing subscription, go and buy the car and get some tracks, come across to SuperCars NZ community page, hit us up, let us know that you're keen, jump on that registration form at the start of the season, and we'll happily have you here racing alongside these great guys as we round out the end of round 3 of the MRP LMP SuperCars NZ series for tonight. You can tune in with the other guys tonight in the stream for the GT3s as we head to Hungaroring there. That should be some interesting racing. It's another technically challenging track, and you may even spot a wild Corey in the broadcasting lounge tomorrow night with those guys.
Tomorrow night, I won't be joining tomorrow night. I haven't purchased that track and haven't got much desire to purchase this at the moment. So
There we go.
yeah, we'll be having a Thursday night off tomorrow night, I think, and I might tune in and watch on YouTube. So yeah, thanks for having me along for a Wednesday night,
Yeah,
and we'll be sure to leave these bottles here for the boys to clean up before they get started tomorrow.
I'm not moving them, mate. I'm going to climb over the back of the seat here and lock the door. They can battle with that one in the morning.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Doing terrific.
There we go. Thank you, matey. And thank you to you guys at home for tuning in for tonight. If you've caught us on the live stream, awesome. And if you've stumbled across us via the YouTube craziness rabbit hole, this has been the Broadcasting Lounge. Jump on our page. We do a bit of racing. Hit that like and subscribe. And get up to date with us when we go live for other exciting racing nights. This has been Doug with Corey and the chair beside me. Thanks very much.
Night.
Have a good night.
Throwing flashbang.